Human Rights in Egypt, and the Mirage of Reform. The Committee for Justice organized a discussion session on Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023, on the sidelines of the 54th regular session of the Human Rights Council. The discussion focused on the dire human rights situation in Egypt, despite President Sisi's claims of improvements. CFJ stated that the situation in Egypt has become tragic, with increasing repression spreading across the country. The authorities target anyone who dares to criticize deteriorating living conditions or expose human rights violations. The Committee for Justice pointed out that President Sisi's national dialogue on human rights lacks the inclusivity claimed by the authorities. CFJ emphasized that the Egyptian regime has shown no political will to respect fundamental human rights. CFJ urged the Human Rights Council and its member states to break their silence on this situation and establish a mechanism for monitoring and reporting on the situation in Egypt. During the event, the German-Egyptian activist Fager al-Adli spoke about her father's detention in Egypt due to her peaceful political activism against the Egyptian authorities.
He witnessed harassment but was unable and powerless to intervene. Every 15 days, he endures an online hearing with no clear accusation, only the arbitrary will to detain him. I speak here today because the international community has a critical role to play in upholding human rights and the rule of law. We call upon the Egyptian regime and the government to adhere to human rights standards and to release my father. I speak today despite the threats that we face as a family to demand the release of my father, Alaa al-Adli. It's time to end the cycle of collective punishment. I speak today to back my beloved father, which I do owe him, and I say loudly, free Alaa al-Adli, free them all.
The wife of the detained Egyptian human rights activist, Mohammed Adel, stated that her husband has been held in prolonged pre-trial detention for 5 years and 3 months. She called on the international community to pressure the Egyptian authorities for his immediate release.
محمد عادل مش محبوس من 2018 بس، هو محبوس تحديدا من 18 ديسمبر 2013. أنا بطالب بالمجتمع الدولي والأمم المتحدة بشكل خاص بالضغط على السلطات المصرية للإفراج عن محمد عادل حالا، لأن 10 سنين داخل السجون بتهمة رأي، ده شيء غاية في السوء وشيء غاية في التعاسة.
Human rights researcher Ibrahim Ez Eldin clarified in his statement that the human rights situation in Egypt is extremely dire, and broad charges are being pressed against political activists and human rights defenders, and no guarantees for implementing the recommendations of the national dialogue.
وتم منع عدد كبير من الجمعيات الأهلية من مراقبة الانتخابات، فده كله بيقول لنا ان احنا داخلين على انتخابات غير جدية، انتخابات هزلية نتيجتها محسومة من البداية.
Jeremy Smith, the researcher at the Cairo Institute for Human Rights Studies, said that between 2022 and 2023, 1,600 political prisoners were released. However, during the same period, 5,000 individuals were arrested for reasons related to peaceful expression and forming associations. He emphasized that Egypt has become more aggressive in undermining international human rights standards.
Since 2022, or between 2022 and 2023, there was a release of 1,600 political prisoners. That's important. That's really important, especially to those families. The people that you heard from today, those types of whole families are broken up or destroyed because of these types of arrests. In that same period, 5,000 people were arrested for charges related to peaceful expression, association.